But you best believe we travel far and wide, hunting retro video games all at a bargain price. Carefully selecting, perfecting our collections, and we don't wanna see no Madden section. Nah, give us that TG16 and the NES. Take us to the rooms we want to minty fresh. You know that mom and pop shop has gotta be top notch. You're probably hot stock, completed box. We got buying arcade machines. Yeah, he's heavily invested in peripheral C. We got Scott. Yeah, he's living the dream in Sega Dreamcast. And fighting games he can't be beat. We got Dash. TurboGrafx is seen. When it comes to making repros, man, the Dash is mean. And when you put them all together, there's never been any better. They're a heat-seeking missile crusading the scene.
Cartridge.
We've been talking about this for a few years and it just hasn't come together, but finally 2016 is the year that the Cartridge Crusaders got to check out Midwest Gaming Classic.
And boy are we pumped to attend this convention. We landed in town really late on Friday night and we just want to get settled into our hotel.
We're at MGC. All I care about is pinball. I'm going to play every pin they have tomorrow. I'm so excited.
See, tonight is it's like VIP night. Like if you brought an arcade machine or a pinball machine or something, you know, you got into this event for free, or if you paid the piper to get into the event, you got it for free, but you had to have the credentials hanging from your neck. We did not, but we did sneak in the back door because we wanted to check out kind of how everything was set up and where we were going to go and where certain things were. Immediately we ran into Grimsy42, you know, which is cool. He's an okay guy. And also the Bad Graphics Gamers, which are, you know, some fellow Ohioans. So it was nice to see some friendly faces right off the bat. We did also just recently send Grimsy a message on Facebook. He has graciously accepted my plea to cuddle with him, only if I fix his Turbo Duo though. So I just want to let everybody know that he did agree to cuddle with me after I recap his Turbo Duo.
Okay.
MGC.
We wake up the next day, Saturday, and finally we can enjoy full access. We have legit badges and we're ready to go.
We knew that this was a big convention, but I don't think that we were ready for the scope. It's so spread out, there's so many different areas to go to, there's so many different things going on. I mean, put that in the fact with how many people attend, and it's like impossible to really delve into the nitty-gritty of every little detail.
This convention was so ridiculous because even with having a 2-day pass, you still really couldn't see everything that was going on because after we got back, I was checking out a couple of YouTube videos of some people going through the convention and I just was finding out about stuff that I didn't even realize was happening.
Like any good game hunting channel, we start out with the vendor tent.
We go in not expecting to find any sort of amazing deals. This is a convention after all, it's not a garage sale. but you are prone to maybe find that higher end item that you just have not been able to get anywhere else. That's what happened. You know, first table I walked up to, Bad Graphics Gamers, they have a table set up. Hey, can I touch that there Shining Force CD?
Buddy, can you ever?
I want to rub on it. They had a good price on it. I'm taking a peek at it. You know, it's not perfect. It's in pretty good shape. I flip it over, and there's like kind of a tear in the back corner of the artwork, and I hate to admit, but I'm extremely anal. So even though it had a good price, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make my quick sweep, see if there's anything else, and I'll be back. I'm holding it off the knife.
Touch it one more time. All right. It wasn't meant to be.
This is the first table I've walked up to. It's like, how can I buy something immediately? I can't.
It was meant to be. We'll come back. Right?
Well, everything came out just fine. I ended up going back to the table. Anyways, I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna go back for that Shining Force CD. It's a good price on it. It's $100. So I'm like, but I didn't look at all their other stuff. I'll go through it. Well, they had a Pocky and Rocky in there for 120. I'm like, I want that game. So I'm like, maybe I can bundle these up. So I'm like, let's make a deal. I'm like, these two items for reduce 100 even, you know, just an even number. And they're like, well, lucky for you, it's lunchtime, you know. And I'm like, oh boy. So they brought pickled pig's feet. And they're like, you know, $5 per pig's foot up to $20. And I'm like, I don't know if I can eat one of these. But so then I get it out and I'm like looking at it and I'm smelling it, and then the deal becomes $10 per pig's foot. And I'm like, oh. And then there's this kid next to me who's like, oh, I would do that. There's like a $10 SNES game I want. I need a pig's foot game or whatever. So anyways, I'm like, all right, here we go. And they're filming it, so it's going to be on their thing, I'm sure. But so I shove it in there, and it's like immediately got to be the grossest thing. I was like, you know, I was gag reflexing. I'm sure it's going to be hilarious on film, but I'm like, there's no way if I keep this in my mouth any longer, I'm going to puke it. So I spit it back out, and it was like in this like vinegar gel, and so I had to go over to this grate to like spit the rest of that out because it was just the nastiest taste ever. So anyways, then they talked the kid that was going to eat one to eat my chewed up for the free game. So I got the deal, and then I just paid for the dude's game to see it.
Nice.
The vendor tent was huge. There was so much going on, and it's like, you know, even going through it, you know, you always are like, man, did I miss that awesome deal? I missed that one really good game I was looking for. But I bought plenty of items, and I think Scott picked up a couple things.
I knew there was going to be a big area with people selling games, but when I found out there was going to be 300 plus pinball and arcade machines, I knew I had to go to this thing. So we finally make our way into the arcade and pinball hall, and I'm pretty much in like heaven at this point.
It's at this point in the weekend that we didn't see Crumb ever again.
Yeah, I pretty much stayed in there Saturday and Sunday just waiting in line for different games, and they had an awesome variety of pinball and arcade.
They had all different types of subject matter on their machines. You name it, they had it. My personal favorite had to be Game of Thrones. I'm a big fan of the series, so that's what I connect with.
They had the new Stern Ghostbusters Pro Edition in there, which always is like 15 to 20 minute line, but it was well worth it because the game is ridiculous in my opinion.
There were plenty of pinball tables in there and arcade machines. I would hate to see what the electric bill was for just that weekend.
Yeah.
No kidding.
One of the main things that I wanted to see, I'm a member of a couple of TurboGrafx forums and chat rooms. And they have a TurboFest tour, which goes to a couple of these different conventions, and they have a room set up with hardware. You can go in and, you know, feel the need to play some turbo.
I wasn't as familiar with the scene, but this is a great group of guys who love sharing their love of TurboGrafx with others. There was plenty to see. They had rare and elusive hardware like the Super Graphics, the PC Engine effects,
There's two really awesome homebrews on the horizon that I got to play demos of, and it was really cool to get to experience that this weekend.
The first game up is called Catastrophe.
It's kind of going to be like a boss rush, Mega Man-y setup type game. We did get to play a demo of that, and it's looking really awesome so far. And I have to mention that the two main guys that are working on this are first timers, you know, as far as developing a game like this. So it's really amazing work, and they've only been working on it since last fall. So it's really cool to see it in the flesh.
The actual level part ended like
a long time ago.
Other platforms ago, and now it's just reading random data and generating platforms off it.
That's cool.
So you're gonna have to reset at some point.
Now, I'm gonna beat this.
Oh, he's here for 3 more days.
I'm getting to the top. Nope. See, that's the end. That's the end.
Oh,
Oh, no more
I reached the
platforms.
end.
Another game that's in development right now is being developed as a game that corresponds with an online comic called PC Henshin. Check out the comic. There's a little bit of it up right now.
This thing has been only under development for like a couple weeks, and it looks pretty good so far. New homebrew.
The graphics look really sweet. The music that they have in there, I don't know if it's going to be the final music, but that was really cool. The physics, the controls, everything about it were really good. As the night wore on, things may have gotten a little bit rowdy in the turbo room. If there's anything you can say, I don't believe anyone that had specific rooms or anyone in the convention may party as hard as those guys.
dude, I am immortal.
I never seen Tony like that. Cause Tony just turned here. Yeah.
Oh, you got another one?
Talk about it.
Let him get another one! Dude! Woo! Tell me you filled it with water and food coloring. Wait, really? Just killed the first one. Now he's... That makes more sense. That makes more sense.
I found myself spending a lot of time in the TurboFest room. I was in my element. I was with the people that I talk with and chat with online. I think if you are a TurboGrafx fan, you kind of always are someone who loves the underdogs anyways, and we definitely are all underdogs of the nerd world. So it's end of day one at Midwest Gaming Classic. We did get some good stuff today, Scott, so, I'll let you do the honors.
Absolutely. My first initial run through the vendor hall, I picked up one item. And it was an amiibo. A Ryu amiibo. I love the Street Fighter series, and I'm not really an amiibo collector. This guy's going to be broken free from his cage as soon as I get home. Mega Man 6. That is going to complete my NES Mega Man set. And then I picked up, I actually bundled these Theme Park for Sega Genesis. Pretty random, right? Like, do you remember this game on PC? Well, it was on Sega Genesis also. I bundled that with Boxed Genesis Saturday Night Slam Masters. It is basically Street Fighter meets WWF.
This event is so huge. There's like a main vendors area, but then there's a couple other vendors like off the beaten path, just kind of like in random rooms all over the hotel. There's one game that just like has been eluding me forever. That game is Revenge of Shinobi on the Sega Genesis. I got a really nice complete copy. It's in fantastic shape. And I couldn't pass on the price. I actually saw a couple other ones out in the vendor area and people were asking twice as much. At that same table I did pick up just kind of a random cheap game, Outrun 2019. It is missing manual, you know, it's in average condition, it's nothing special, but you know, it's $5. I got a manual for Battletoads Double Dragon on the Sega Genesis. The story behind my copy of this game is actually kind of cool. I got the loose game in a garage sale lot, so I mean I probably paid the equivalent of $1 or $2 for it. A local game store got just the case in, and I paid like a couple bucks for that. And then, you know, actually the manual ended up being the most expensive thing. I think I paid $5 for this manual, but I now have a complete copy of Battletoads Double Dragon on the Genesis. Kind of cruising around a little bit. There's another game on my Genesis want list. It's a little bit more of an obscure run and gun, really cool game, but I did find a nice copy for a good price, and that's Caliber 50. I believe Crumbs had this game for a while. He got it a long time ago, but
Sucks. I'm just kidding.
So I mean, day one MGC, I got some really good stuff. It's all stuff. You know, we're kind of down to the nitty gritty. You know, the Cartridge Crusaders. We're at our point in our collections where there's not that many items that we're really looking for anymore. So it's really hard to kind of come up with any footage because of that. So it's kind of cool that we actually found some stuff, and I knocked every single item on this that I bought today is on my list. So getting down to the nitty gritty, man.
Good times.
Yes. Let's do Crumb's pickup video right now.
There you have it.
So it's Sunday, you know, I don't want to say we were necessarily burned out, but holy cow, a whole day of just ridiculous amounts of gaming. We come back on Sunday, and I'm personally kind of hoping like, okay, you know, Sunday, maybe a little bit less of a crowd. I was wrong, the thing is still going strong.
In one of the main ballrooms at MGC, they had a museum documenting the history of video games. And there were consoles and old computers from the very beginning, like I'm talking Pong, through like current generation stuff, and they had pretty much everything.
It was all hooked up, you could sit down and play it, you know, they had a variety of games. There were so many cool obscure consoles, and you know, they kind of had a write-up of each thing describing their history, production numbers, stuff like that, so it's always cool to see that.
Another must-see item that was there was a prototype for the Nintendo PlayStation, which we hear so much about in the lore of video game history. Nintendo and Sony had a contract in the late 1980s for Sony to develop a CD add-on for the Super Nintendo that would be coming out. And it's pretty crazy to sit there and think about how that single-handedly, if that went through, could have changed the course of gaming history as we know it.
I do a lot of console modding to my own stuff, so I always like seeing different things and maybe something that gives me different ideas. There was one thing I saw at the show that was really cool. It was actually a Model 2 Genesis that somebody had basically put an Neo Geo MVS motherboard in. So it was a consoleized MVS but in a Model 2 Genesis shell, and it was just really cool. I was like, oh, you know, that's one idea, because I actually have an MVS board that I'm working on currently and I haven't decided what I'm going to house it in. On top of that, I didn't get to meet him, but I did see in the flesh one of my idols, Ben Heck. That dude is amazing.
Yeah, we got to see his, what was it, like a 4-foot Game Boy fully functioning that you could put in just regular cartridges and it would fire up, and
that was cool. Did you say it had a normal Game Boy hooked in the back of it? Could you see it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 'cause you put like the regular carts like right in it, and it just fired up like right to like the big screen.
There were, you know, Oculus Rift. They had a couple things set up where you could check that out. We never got a chance to do that, but virtual reality is here.
On Sunday in the Turbo Room, unbeknownst to me, they were going to be throwing a Bomberman match, like a tournament. 5-player Bomberman. If you'd played it on Genesis or Super Nintendo, you may be familiar with it only having up to 4 players. But I got in on it, and I was the 5th player, and I was with the very undesirable middle location at the start of the map. I haven't played much Bomberman recently, but it might be kind of like riding a bike, because I was locked in and I ended up taking it home. You watched it. What do you think about that performance?
That was pretty good. I knew Scott played some Bomberman on other platforms, so I figured he might be some good competition for these guys. And he came home the champion.
Yes, this is what I came home with. New Adventure Island for the PC Engine. And when I received it, it was sealed. But they had a policy there. They're like, they don't want any scumbag resellers creeping into their ranks. They didn't want me to flip it on eBay, and you know, it's all in the spirit of having fun, competition, and enjoying your games. There was another guy in there who was nice enough to attach this little doohickey on it, which makes it playable on American hardware, the TurboGrafx, even though it's a PC Engine HuCard.
A guy on the forums named Jody donated a lot of the prizes, and were cool enough to give away prizes like that, but then they gave you the hookup so you could come home and still play the darn thing.
Right. Out of all the games I came home with this weekend, I'm actually probably most excited about this one, even beyond the ones that I handpicked myself in the vendor tent.
I had to scour and make sure that I didn't miss any deals or miss something that I just couldn't live without. So, you know, I still ended up finding myself back in the vendor hall. So I ended up buying something from one of the guys I talk with, you know, frequently on the dualfile.com chat rooms. You're welcome, no. Game Cybercore for the TurboGrafx. Of course, it's a shooter. You know, I would say most of the games you'll find on the TurboGrafx are shooters. Not that there aren't other great games that aren't shooters, but it's one I didn't have and I did want. You know, I didn't necessarily get bro pricing on it, and partly because, you know, this guy is actually known in some close circles as Dickface, so that's likely why he didn't give any sort of like really sweet deals. I mean, I didn't pay $5 for this or anything, but it's all in good fun. The other item that I picked up on Sunday, I kind of had contemplated it throughout the weekend. I was kind of going back and forth, but it's a game for the NES. It's called Haunted Halloween 85 by Cash In Games and Games Retrotainment. You know, they had it, you could play it there. They had complete in-box copies, so I grabbed one. You know, they went with kind of a black box style. You could get a couple different colored carts. I decided to go with the green, kind of differentiate my homebrews from my legit games. I mean, they went as far as, you know, making a custom sleeve for the game. It's got a full color manual. You know, it's a really nice package, and it's cool. You know, it feels like buying a Nintendo game, you know, like I was 5 years old again, and it's just really cool to be able to experience that. And I love that there's people in the community that are still making new games for old systems.
I'm playing some games here in the vendor hall on Sunday, and it's kind of sad to see, like, game by game, it's getting packed up, and I just want to keep playing these games because I know I'm not going to be in a room with this many machines again for a long time. But overall, I'd say it was a blast of a weekend. I would definitely want to go back. I mean, it's an experience that you can't get like every month or so.
To be able to get your hands on so many different things, and to see arcades, pinballs, homebrews, all things gaming culture. You know, we got to do tournaments, we got to meet cool people, you name it.
Eat pickled pig's feet, or not eat pickled pig's feet, really. But you know, it was a really awesome experience. You know, I don't know about these guys, but you know, when I saw them start to pack stuff up, I was kind of sad because it meant the weekend was over and I was gonna have to go back to work the next day. I think all three of us kind of each found our thing that we kind of were doing most of the weekend, and we didn't even see each other really at all. It was cool. We divided and conquered. I would say overall, MGC 2016 was a good success, and we really enjoyed it.
Cartridge.